Welcome back to Marbella Now. My name is Nicole King and it's a pleasure to be once again at the Paloma Blanca Boutique Hotel. We have a very diverse lineup of guests once again this week, and I'm very much looking forward to you meeting them all because everyone brings something special to our international community. Well, let's get started with the show. This week's Marbella Now. Hey, hey. I'm really delighted to introduce to you Marc Elliot from Fluent Finance Abroad. He was meant to be on the show last week, but his little boy got poorly. But then on Thursday, I went to the Danish Consul's Just Law's business breakfast talking about the new complaints laws, and guess who I met? Marc was there, and it was like, I saw your card on the table, it was like, oh my God, where are you? So nice to see you again, Marc.
Thank you for the invite. Nice to see you too, Nicole.
Is your little boy better?
He's much better now.
I'm pleased to hear it. Yeah, because it's really going around. Everyone's catching it, passing it on to everybody else.
Well, he's only 16 months.
Oh, bless.
So he's catching absolutely everything because he's going to the guarderia, the nursery, so bringing home everything as well. So,
how long have you lived in Spain?
I've lived in Spain now coming on close to 16 years.
Oh, really? And what brought you over in the first place?
Well, I've got family in Spain. My mum's Spanish, so I've been coming to Spain all my life. But I was offered a job first and foremost, so hence I came over at that time.
Was it because you spoke Spanish?
Well, yeah, there's a number of things. The job I do is in finance, specialise in mortgages. So previous to coming to Spain, I worked in London in the mortgage industry, so I was qualified from the UK. And because obviously I have that skill and the language skill, the company that brought me over thought it was a good idea if I came and used all the skills that I have in order to be able to work in the Spanish mortgage market. And
are you based here in Marbella, or have you always been in this area?
I've always been in Marbella. Our current office is in San Pedro. We've been in San Pedro now for 6 years. So so always in Marbella, always on the Costa del Sol.
When I moved to Madrid in the 90s, mortgages were unheard of. Everybody rented. There weren't the facilities for the average person to get a mortgage. A lot's changed, hasn't it? To bring us where we are today.
Well, it's the same all over. Well, in the UK as well. It was pretty difficult to get a mortgage back in the 70s, 80s. But yeah, the banking system now is a bit more open, and mortgages are readily available. It's had some bad press in the last decade, obviously with
the crisis must have affected the
credit crisis. Yeah,
the loaning. Lending ability.
Yeah, massively. I mean, when I came to Spain 15 years ago, I worked in London, and that was under regulation. So we had the FCA, the FSA at the time, which is a Financial Services Authority that regulated mortgages. And I came to Spain, and there was no regulation at all. And I have to say, I was pretty shocked at how Spanish banks were giving money out. And that essentially that's what they were doing. They were just handing money out to anyone and everyone. And obviously we've seen that that's not the best policy because obviously we've had a really bad hit on the construction in Spain, along with Italy and Portugal and Ireland and Greece. Spain was part of what they call the pig countries of Europe.
What an insult to the pigs.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. It's a bit bad, but so when I came here, it was a bit of a free for all. Basically, all you needed was a passport and a pulse, and you got a mortgage. Really, that's not the case now, though.
That's a shame. So, what are the kind of basic requirements for a mortgage?
What are the basic requirements? Well, first and foremost, you need to. The most important thing is to have a deposit.
What kind of percentage they're looking at?
It depends on if you're a resident in Spain, pay taxes in Spain, or if you're non-resident. If I could go on for quite a while, but for example, if you're from an EU country like France or Germany or Britain, you would generally need to bring in around about 30 to 40% as a deposit. And then you have to factor in closing costs as well. If you come in from the US, for example, which is outside the EU, you probably have to bring in a bit more funds because you're deemed as a slightly higher risk. But if you're resident in Spain, you're 20% is generally what you should be.
Okay, so save the good news till last. Yeah. if someone's looking at a property, they come to you, and then basically you just take over and you do all the negotiations and what have you?
Okay, well, I look at, if you're going to buy a property, it's not like going to buy, I don't know, a kitchen or a sofa. It's quite a big financial commitment. We always believe that it's wise to get your finances in order first, so you know what your limits are and what your maximums are. So we would go through the process with you, understand, let you, explain to you how it all works, go through some figures to ensure that you, as a client, as a buyer, know exactly what your budget is. So when you're touring or when you're looking at properties, that you're actually looking at properties that you are comfortable in buying. So when you do make an offer, number one, that you can actually, you can buy it, and number two, that your finances are all pretty much organised, which is.
And I suppose reading the small print is fundamental to make sure that you're not signing away to, like, the interest rates can be one of the things you really need to look out for.
Yeah. I mean, financial products like mortgages are quite complex. There's a hell of a lot of legal jargon within them. And there are lots of laws that you need to be aware of, and we are experts in that. I myself have just passed the Spanish mortgage exam, which has just come in June.
So there are legislations now?
There are new legislations that came in this year, which Fluent Finance Abroad, my company, I'm very proud to say that we're on top of it all and we're fully compliant. But yeah, signing up to a mortgage contract with a particular bank is not something you should enter into lightly. And you do need, especially if it's not your first language, even if it is your first language, you're not going to understand all the rules and regulations. So in my opinion, you should always get an expert to guide you through that and make sure that the expert uses their knowledge, their experience and their contacts within the lenders to ensure that you're actually signing up to something which is suitable for your circumstances. Because if you do get it wrong,
it'll be very costly.
It can be very costly.
It can be very costly.
Exactly,
well, big thank you to Manifesto Design for sending along this lovely gentleman. We finally made it, and I think it sounds like makes good sense. If you're going to buy a property and you're looking for a mortgage, contact Marc Elliot of Fluent Finance Abroad, or someone similar, to make sure that you don't pay the price, a big price, in the long run for not having made a simple call.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.